Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled people story. I've been working as part of the maintenance crew at this office building downtown for over 15 years now. It's not glamorous work by any means. Mostly just fixing leaky faucets, jammed copiers, wonky AC units, and whatever else breaks in a busy office environment. But it's honest work, and I enjoy the banter with all the office workers we've gotten to know over the years. The building had been managed by this real stand-up guy named Tom for ages. Tom was fair and reasonable, and always had our back when it came to supply orders and budget approvals from the higher-ups. All that changed when Tom retired last year. His replacement was an absolute nightmare, the quintessential Karen type. Let's call her Janice. Right from the start, Janice made it clear she intended to whip us into shape. She scrutinized every repair request and supply order, denying even the most basic necessities like new mop heads and light bulbs. She accused us of wasting company money if we dared order anything beyond absolute bare minimums. Janice also started monitoring our lunch breaks, yelling if we were 5 minutes late back from the cafeteria. She even suggested we start punching time cards to increase accountability. Us maintenance guys were steaming mad but trying to keep our cool. The final straw came when Janice called a mandatory early Friday morning meeting for the maintenance crew before we were scheduled to start our normal shift. We begrudgingly shuffled into the conference room, bleary-eyed and clutching our coffee. As soon as we sat down, Janice slapped a stack of papers on the table. "It has come to the company's attention that you so-called maintenance men have been taking advantage of your roles here," she sneered. "In reviewing your files closely, I discovered none of you have adequate qualifications or certifications for building maintenance." We looked at each other, confused. Most of us had picked up our skills on the job over many years. Certifications were never a priority before. Janice continued her condescending rant. "Furthermore, your work orders continue to show sloppy, subpar work. The incompetence on display here is unacceptable for a Class A office building. As such, effective immediately, your employment has been terminated." Our jaws dropped as she slid the termination notices across the table with a self-satisfied smirk. "Please collect your personal items and vacate the premises within the hour. Security will escort anyone who fails to comply promptly." We were shell-shocked and outraged. Sure, we grumbled about the job, but were always diligent when it came to actual repairs. We took pride in keeping the building running smoothly. As we numbly gathered our things under the watchful eyes of security, the injustice of it all burned within us. How could she fire us without cause like that? My buddy Pete was especially incensed. "I've had it with that uppity witch barking orders and dumping on us working stiffs," he fumed. "Isn't her precious corner office upstairs heated and cooled by the AC units we maintain? Don't her fancy executive toilets flush thanks to the plumbing we keep running?" The more we talked, the angrier we felt. Janice had no right to kick us to the curb after so many loyal years of service. But what could we do? She was the manager, and we were just the maintenance guys. After a few beers, Pete suddenly sat up straight, his eyes blazing with excitement. "Fellas, I just remembered something big that could turn this whole situation around." Back when the building had first been converted into offices 15 years ago, Pete had been part of the original retrofitting crew. He recalled they were sent paychecks from some warehouse company that had owned the building previously. "That warehouse company still owns this place, not the office corporation," Pete exclaimed. "I bet that Janice has been running her little kingdom here thinking she's queen of the castle, but she ain't." I felt a spark of hope ignite within me. "You're absolutely right. I just looked up the property records, and ownership never changed hands from the warehouse company. We need to pay them a visit." The very next morning, we showed up unannounced at the warehouse company's headquarters downtown. The senior executives were bewildered to have a group of angry maintenance guys turn up demanding answers about an office building they hadn't paid attention to in years. After reviewing their dusty old files, one executive chuckled wryly. "You gentlemen are completely right. We do still own that building. We leased it over to the office company years back and have just been collecting rent payments monthly ever since. Not once have we checked up on the property or even set foot inside." Armed with this bombshell revelation, we marched straight back to the office building and barged right into Janice's plush corner office. Her smug smile vanished instantly. "How did you get back in the building? I strictly forbid security from allowing trespassing from former employees." Cut the crap, Janice, I said forcefully. We just had a nice chat with the actual owners of this building. The warehouse company you've been padding your paychecks with rent money from all these years. Janice went pale. We had caught her red-handed. Pete slid the property records across her desk. By our estimation, you owe us 15 years of back pay, seeing as we've been doing maintenance without proper compensation or benefits. Janice's eyes went wide with alarm. She seemed to shrink from her imposing managerial persona into a meek and apologetic subordinate. Gentlemen, surely we can discuss this matter in a reasonable manner, she implored. We crossed our arms sternly. Oh, we plan to discuss this very thoroughly once our lawyers finalize the lawsuit against you and this company for wrongful termination. Enjoy your corner office while you still can, Janice sputtered in protest, but she knew she had lost all leverage with the truth now exposed. Within days, she was not so gently encouraged to resign by her superiors, several of whom also got fired or demoted. The office company was forced to settle our lawsuit with a massive payout equal to many years of missed wages. They also agreed to reinstate us as maintenance crew under the warehouse company's ownership. The warehouse company executives, delighted to have rediscovered this lucrative revenue stream, brought us on board with generous salaries and benefits. After so many years of neglect, they were eager to have us fully modernize and upgrade their building. No expense was spared on tools, materials, and new equipment. These days, we stroll into the offices like kings. All the office workers greet us cheerfully, complimenting the building's revitalized aesthetics and functionality. As for Janice, her reign of terror is over. The last I heard, she's struggling to find work, having been blacklisted for her shady business dealings. For a pleasant change, justice was served. Our maintenance crew finally got the respect and compensation we deserve. The next one is a pro-revenge story. I used to have a veteran's disability pension, VDP for a hearing defect. It's now merged with my state pension. It was small and back home was paid annually. However, I moved to the UK and this pension was still paid by my government, but now administered by the UK DWP, Department of Work and AMP Pensions, who paid it fortnightly. Some years ago, I was entitled to a disability allowance, DA, because of various issues. At the time, I was diagnosed with diabetes but was trying to control it with diet. So I got called into the local job center for an interview. Unfortunately, I had a Karen for an interviewer. I'm on the spectrum, but I'm high functioning. This means that I don't suffer fools gladly and I can be very rules-bound. Firstly, she questions why I hadn't declared the VDP as part of my earnings. I had, but it was in another part of the form. Then she said that I couldn't have diabetes because I wasn't taking any medicine, and as I was telling Porky's, she would not allow my claim. Now the DA claim had nothing to do with my diabetes. However, she was stupid to put in her letter of rejection that I hadn't diabetes because I wasn't taking any medicine for it. She also said that they would no longer pay my VDP. I sent a copy of the letter to my High Commission, who said don't worry, they would deal with it. I handed a copy of the letter to my doctor, who was incensed. She complained to the DWP asking about Karen's medical qualifications, so I got asked to have another interview about 1 p.m. on a certain day with the Karen. I said that I couldn't guarantee to attend on that day as I had another appointment that morning. The message back from the Karen was if I didn't attend, my claim would be refused. So going with the flow, I said that I would try to attend, but I might be a little late. So I have my morning appointment, go home, change, and toddle off to the job center. I get there on the dot of 1 p.m. only to find that the Karen had booked an interview room on the first floor instead of the ground floor. There is no lift. To cut a long story short, it took me nearly 15 minutes to haul my sorry ass up those stairs in the end, being helped by this guy in a suit who asked why I was trying to get to the first floor. I told him that I had an interview and that the Karen who was seeing me chose the room. So I get to the room and Karen says, "You are late. I am refusing your claim unless you have a very good reason." So I said to her, "Well, my day has been interesting. You were warned that I had an appointment this morning and because of it, I might be late." Karen: "I want you to tell me about this appointment and exactly what happened to make you late." Me: "I turned up at the appointment this morning, took my clothes off, and then had 2 nice young ladies slather my meat and 2 veg with lube. They then proceeded to do things to said meat and 2 veg. They then got me to lie down on my side facing the wall, and one of thee proceeded to stick her fingers up my ass." Karen: "How dare you talk such filth in front of me?" Your case is closed. Suit, who is listening out of sight. Excuse me, Karen, but you did ask him to tell you about his appointment and exactly what happened to make him late. Suit to me. How did your prostate examination go? Me. More tests, unfortunately. Suit. And was that the reason you were late? Me. No, the stupid idiot was being vindictive and interviewed me on this floor instead of the ground floor. She knew my claim was because I had breathing problems and couldn't climb stairs. I think she would have claimed that as I made it to the first floor, I was lying and refused the claim. Suit. I think you are right. Suit to Karen. You will approve his DLA claim as I had to help him up the stairs, and based on my observations he qualifies, and you and your manager will report to me tomorrow at 9 a.m. in my office to explain your actions. If you are late, you will be terminated. Karen, very white-faced. Yes, sir. Turns out he was an area director that the DWP had sent in to investigate the high level of complaints about that job center. It also turns out that a complaint from a high commissioner about breaching an international agreement is a big deal for the DWP. Who knew? The next one is a petty revenge story. We recently bought a new cat tower. We have 5 cats who play hard, and the old tower was definitely showing use. The cats had torn up the carpet and sisal, vomited in one of the cubes, and decapitated the hanging mouse whose name is Earl, because why not? We set up the new tower, and after asking our friends, couldn't find anyone who wanted it. So we took it out to the curb to get rid of it. Large trash pickup was coming up, so we figured if anyone wanted it, they would have plenty of time to grab it before trash pickup. In our neighborhood, as long as the item is not on the curb for more than a week, you won't get cited for having trash in your yard. No big deal, right? Oh no, it's a big deal because Karen and Kevin have decided they want the tower. I work from home, but my office is in the back of my house. We have a Ring camera, and around 10 a.m. one morning the doorbell rings. I am in a meeting with my boss, so I check the app, see that I don't know who these people, Kevin and Karen, are, and go back to my meeting. About 45 minutes later, the doorbell rings again. Now I'm out of my meeting, and since I'm expecting packages, I check the app, see that it's the delivery guy, and then head out front to grab my packages off the porch. I hear the notification going off on my phone as I'm opening the door, and there stand Kevin and Karen with my packages in the cat tower. Kevin is holding my packages. Me, can I help you? Kevin, we are interested in the cat tower. Me, go for it. It's been left out for large trash. You can have it. May I have my packages, please? Karen, the carpet and the sisal on the tower are torn. I'm going to need you to fix that before we take the tower, and there is vomit on it. That needs to be cleaned as well. Me, I'm not going to fix anything on the tower. We are throwing it away. If you want the tower, take the tower. If not, it will be picked up later this week with large trash. Now, may I please have my packages? Kevin, obviously realizing I'm not concerned at all about the state of the cat tower. Well, we still want the cat tower. I'm just going to leave it on your porch, and we will come back with our truck this weekend and pick it up. He is still holding my damn packages. Me, that won't work for us. See, we are trying to get rid of the tower, and I don't want it on my porch, which is why it is on the curb. So if you want the tower and you aren't going to take it right now, I'm not going to hold it for you. Please give me my packages. About this time, my phone started ringing and I needed to get back to work. But I wasn't going to leave without my packages. Just as I'm about to get angry with these people, my retired military grizzled biker-looking neighbor pulls up in his pickup truck. He is a big pussy cat, but is very protective of us, and especially our 2 daughters. My neighbor calls over to me and starts heading over to where we are standing on my porch. I guess Kevin got nervous, so at that point he shoved my packages at me and then said, "We'll just leave the tower on the porch and we will pick it up when we can." Yeah, that's not going to work for me, and when Kevin and Karen walk off, I turned to my neighbor and asked him to help me carry the damn cat tower back down to the curb. A little while later, I had to run an errand, and when I got back, the stupid cat tower was back on my porch. Y'all, what the absolute stupid hell. My kid, F19, got back from class a little while later and asked why the cat tower is back on the porch. I told her the story. She rolled her eyes and groaned, and I went back to work. About 30 minutes later, she came into my office laughing. Me, what did you do? MK, took the cat tower back down to the curb. Me, how? That thing is heavy as hell. MK, it was really easy once I took it apart and put all the hardware in this Ziploc bag that accidentally fell into the trash can with the used cat litter. So if Kevin and Karen want the cat tower, it's still available. but they will have to go dumpster diving for the hardware. The next one is a malicious compliance story. A few years back, I worked on a relief crew on a drilling rig. The rig ran 24 hours a day with 3 shifts. Crews worked 6 days and then had 2 days off. My crew would replace a working crew so they could have their 2 days off. So we worked mornings for 2 days, then afternoons, and then nights. It was common to find someone to take a shift if you wanted an extra day off, but the replacement had to have the same abilities. A crew had a driller, derrick hand, motorman, chain hand, and floor hand. People started as floor hand, and as they learned, they would work their way up with more responsibility and more pay. Sometimes when someone changed companies, they might take a lower position, so it was common to have someone with derrick hand capabilities working as a motor or chain. In September, my wife asked about the chances of getting off for Christmas. I checked the calendar and my days off fell on December 24th and 25th. Done deal, I have it scheduled off. Then I decided to sweeten the pot. I found a guy who would work December 22nd and 23 for me. I also found one who would work the 26 and 27. I took this to my driller who agreed they could work for me. With my 6 days off, I could drive 400 miles to visit family. Things looked pretty sweet, too sweet. The other guys on my crew were in the same position, so they all tried to find replacements, and 2 were successful. Unfortunately, the driller only had 3 other guys on the rig who could work for him, and none of them wanted to help. He got mad and said since he couldn't get the time off, none of us could have it off. I reminded him that he had already approved my time, and he said that was canceled, and if I didn't work on December 23rd, then I was a runoff MF, fired. I told him fine, I will work the 23rd, but that will be my last day of work. Consider this my 3-month notice. At work, not much was said for the next few weeks. Outside of work, I was networking and found another job I could start the first week of January. All was set. At the end of my shift on the 23rd, I emptied my work locker and said my goodbyes. The driller barely acknowledged me. I went home and drove to see family the next day. I spent a relaxing week there and then came back to start my new job. Around the end of January, I went to a friend's birthday party. There I saw one of my old crew. He asked me when I was going to go back to work. The driller thought I was just sulking around and would come crawling back soon. He never hired a replacement, and they had been working short-handed for over a month. I said he better hire somebody. I wasn't playing games, and when I said I quit, I meant it. The next one is an entitled people story. Over the years, I've longed to live in and raise my children and grandchildren in a safe, friendly, energetic, peaceful, clean neighborhood with good schools. I often pondered what it was like to live on the other side of the tracks, literally. On my way home from work, I'd veer off, redacted, through the neighborhoods of redacted, and imagine having a home here in this thriving neighborhood. It was always the trees for me. I earnestly believed one day I'd make it happen. Unfortunately, I haven't. I've worked my tail off and managed my way through many, many obstacles, but haven't hit that pinnacle. I do well for myself and live a well-rounded, happy life, and am uber grateful for what I have. I just don't think I will ever be able to afford a home in this neighborhood on one income, especially with the market the way it is and no end in sight unless something marvelous happens. Therefore, I am reaching out to the community to find out if there is anyone out there who would like to donate a home to me or sell me one at a ridiculously low sale price. I know, the audacity, but there are those with abundance looking to bless someone. I see it every day. I even participate where I can. I promise to be a good neighbor and to love it and appreciate it for the rest of my life. I realize this is a radical idea, but who knows what's out there. Someone's that has way more than enough and would love to pass their home on to someone who simply asked, has 2 and is ready to move to their warm weather home and doesn't need to turn a profit, is just plain sick of humans and is going off grid, just wants to pay it forward or could write it off. Bought a fixer-upper and life changed. I'm very handy. I am getting older though. Just hit the Powerball and is leaving everything behind. Maybe you know someone with a home elsewhere in a community just as lovable. Please do pass the letter on. You never know. So here I am asking. My dad always said, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. I'm currently renting in, redacted, and I love it, with the constant increase in rent that may not last much longer. I've worked for redacted for almost 20 years. Well, when I started passing out this letter I did, unfortunately I was part of their layoffs this week. I've attended a women's group in Redacted for 15 years as well, all reasons I have intentionally left my name out of this, hoping to save face for now. I made an email for responses to this letter. Please no hurtful or hateful messages. I've seen the nasty comments on the forums, and I assure you I am a good person with a good heart and good intentions. I will provide you with my full name, address, references, background check, no resale contract. You name it should you find interest in my request. Otherwise, thank you for simply reading my letter. So long for now. Turns out there are approximately 15,000 homes in Redacted, so I have a lot of work to do. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.